Greetings, everyone, and good morning. It's good morning wherever we are because we're always looking at the dawn of a new moment, whether it's the dawn of a new day or a new hour, a new minute. Every moment is new and fresh. So good morning. What we're going to do today in our meditation session is our grounding practice, getting stable, and then close placement where we hold our mind on the internal sensations of our breathing, keeping our mind close to us. And when it wanders, as soon as we realize it, we come back to the object of our attention. Then we'll expand to environmental awareness or open awareness of sense perceptions. At the end, I want to do a little bit of, today, a little bit of work with working with emotions, something I did in a recent class that I taught. So, take your seat upright. Feel your sit bones in the seat. We want to inhabit our body. We end up thinking so much through the day that we're not quite inhabiting our body. So really start from your toes, wiggle your toes, and really be in your feet. Feel your feet, move them around. And your ankles. You can let your eyes gently close to do this and tune more into being in your body. Flex your calves. Feel your knees. Thighs. Really inhabit that lower half of your body, your hips and pelvis. Make it alive. And lower back and belly, rib cage. Feel your shoulders back as you breathe in and just open up your chest and really fill your lungs with air. Sometimes we're only half breathing, half filling and half emptying. Really fill your lungs with air and then breathe all the way out. Further. Now you need to collapse your chest a little bit. Push all the air out. Let it come in. Feel your shoulders, your arms, hands, upper part of your body. Feel your neck. Move it around. Might have a little bit of those Rice Krispies in there. Move your facial muscles, ears. Feel the back of your scalp. Now that we're fully in our body, sitting upright, without losing your posture, let's sweep away any unnecessary tension. Move your awareness from the top of your head and scan like your own personal MRI. You scan down, forehead and the back of your head, eyes, ears, cheekbones, jaw. Sometimes we hold unnecessary tension in our jaw. Just let it soften as much as it will. You can try just a quick clenching of your jaw and letting go. And where you want it to rest is so that your lips are just barely touching or just barely parted. You're not slack-jawed, but you're not clenching. We're always going to find that middle way where we're upright but not rigid. We're relaxed but not flopping. Neck and shoulders, shoulder blades, collarbone, upper arms. Again, if you have tension in your neck, you can flex it and let it relax. Tension in your shoulders, lift them up by your ears. And don't push them down, but just let them drop naturally. If you do it just right, as your shoulders come down, the back of your neck goes up, and your posture becomes even more upright. Chest and upper back, rib cage all around. Lower back, torso from your solar plexus, down to your belly, down to your deep belly. Sometimes more tension there than we realize. You can clench the deep belly and then, without losing your posture, let it go. And in the same way, when you let go of that, your lower back straightens a little bit, a little more upright. Hips and pelvis, just let go. Any tension there. Thighs, forearms, and hands, knees, calves, ankles, and feet. Take one nice full breath in, go back to the top of your head, and as you slowly breathe out, the breath sweeps all the excess tension and let it all the way down to your toes and out. We usually think of our mind and our awareness resting behind our forehead, like the control tower, running everything. A lot of that's because our eyes, ears, nose, mouth are all up here. It's kind of a central place. But let your mind fall back, like you're falling into a soft, easy chair. Fall back to the back of your skull. Let it just settle down, drift down. Drift down like a leaf drifting to the bottom of the pond, down the back of your throat, down behind your heart and chest, down behind your solar plexus and stomach, down behind your navel and resting a couple of inches below your navel, deep in the core of your torso. It's quiet down there. You can feel the breath. You can feel your lower torso moving in and out as the breath goes in and out. Moving like gentle currents at the bottom of that pond. It's quiet, peaceful down there. Reach out breath. Let yourself sink down. Be supported by the seat that you're on. Really sink down into it, not perching, but just letting go. Letting the seat support you. As you breathe out, imagine you're sinking down past that, merging with the earth. Letting the earth support you. Breathing out. Feel like you're really merging with the earth. That you're part of the earth. With your posture extending upward like a mountain, majestic, dignified. Now tune into your breathing. as an observer, not a director. Just let it come and go naturally, coming and going like the wind. Sometimes stronger, sometimes softer, longer, shorter breaths, deeper, shallower breaths. Notice how your body wants to breathe without you directing. Relax your mind. Just be open to whatever you're going to experience. Have the openness of the sky, the open sky that spans the earth, overlooking everything below it, without partiality or bias. Just open. Body like a mountain, breath like the wind, mind like the sky. As the gong fades, let your eyes gently open. About halfway, look down below your eyelids on a diagonal. Don't grab onto in your mind whatever your eyes are resting on. Just let them rest in that direction and soften your gaze. It's as if you're looking at the space between you and where your eyes come to rest, the space that you're sitting in. With awareness of your posture, notice what it feels like as you fill with air, the internal sensation. Filling, and the internal sensation of emptying as the breath goes out. Filling as the breath comes in, emptying as the breath goes out. That's the object of our mindfulness. Within an awareness of posture, focus on the sensation of filling and emptying. Now, if your mind wanders into a daydream, because the mind has a tendency to wander, when you realize that you've woken up from that daydream, wherever you were in the past, present, or past, elsewhere in the present or in the future, you're back to here and now instantly. At that moment, just smile and think to yourself, wandering, that was wandering. Gently come back to your breath. Reinvigorate your posture and tune into awareness of filling and emptying. We'll do that for a few minutes. You may notice that having been told to pay attention to your breathing, it becomes somewhat self-conscious. There's an actual intention to fill, an intention to empty. Instead, try to let go of that intention and just be a very neutral observer. Observing the sensations as the breath breathes by itself. It may become shallower and subtle. Just notice it for whatever it is. If you've gotten drowsy and your eyes are closed, just reinvigorate your posture. Open your eyes wider and raise your gaze to straight ahead. Focus your attention on the sensations in the upper part of your body. And that feels as the breath comes in and out. If your mind feels like a runaway train, that every couple of breaths you're off into another daydream, keep your gaze lowered and move your attention really deep in your core. Let your mind rest down there like we did before in the grounding practice. You'll feel how your lower torso feels as the breath fills you and empties. The lower torso is where the breath completes at the end of the filling, where the emptying starts from, deep down. Now, for the next couple of minutes, pay closer attention to the details. What it feels like as the breath starts to fill, is filling, and the end when it's full. And there's a momentary gap and transition to starting to empty, emptying, and empty. Again, a momentary transition, starting to fill, filling and full. Pay attention to the details of that cycle all the way through for the next couple of minutes. As the sound of the gong fades, just let go of the practice. Just relax. Just move a little bit if you'd like. Refresh. For the next part of the practice, we'll work with our sense perceptions. Take your posture, and as the sound of the gong is faded out, open up your eyes, look straight ahead, and open up your full peripheral vision, side to side, above and below. Looking straight ahead, but not focusing tightly on anything. Soft, open gaze. Let your awareness move around your field of vision, noticing just without commentary on what it is, just colors, shapes, and shades of light and dark. Shades of light and dark, shapes, colors. Leaving your eyes open, open up your hearing in all directions, your peripheral hearing, in all directions as far as you can hear. And again, without commenting necessarily on what it is, Just notice the quality of the sounds, sharp or dull, high-pitched or low, loud or soft, seemingly near or far. Open up your hearing in all directions as far as you can hear. Again, leaving your eyes open to your body awareness. Internal sensations, feeling and emptying as we were feeling before. External, your sit bones in the seat, cloth on your skin, air on the skin of your hands and face. The cool, dry air coming in your nostrils, warm and moist as it goes out. You might even feel your heartbeat in your chest, fingertips, wrists, and neck. Open your mind to whatever thought comes up next. Be an observer of your own thoughts. Notice what arises in your mind, how long it stays, what comes up next. Now, as the gong fades, just be open to whatever perception your mind rests on. If you find yourself looking, just explore vision for a moment. If a sound captivates your mind, go with it. Listen for sounds. If a thought arises in your mind and gets your attention, just watch the parade of thoughts. Bodily sensations, smells, any perception. Now, if you find yourself in the parade of thoughts rather than watching it, and it takes you away, as soon as you realize it, smile. You can think daydreaming or wandering. Come back to your posture and just open to the sense perceptions of the moment. Let your mind wander, but wander in the here and now, among sense perceptions, including your own thoughts. Do that for a couple of minutes. As the sound of the gong fades, just let go, relax. Take a refresh break. My teacher used to say that when the gong rings and the session is over, the best meditation happens. Because everybody just, lets go of trying so hard. Instead of trying, they're just be. For the last part of this session, I thought we could do a little work with emotions. This has been a very turbulent time. So I want you to first think of a particular emotion, not a really strong one, not one that you'll overwhelm yourself with, but just a little feeling of a particular emotion. It could be sadness, happiness, anger, love, fear, any emotion. Make that the object of your mindfulness. Notice the texture of the emotion. But let go of the storyline. Let go of the words and thoughts that brought that emotion to mind. And just feel the emotion in your body. Feel where it is in your body. Be with it without the storyline. And notice if it changes, if it gets more or less intense, if it spreads, if it fades. There's no particular formula. It's not the same for everyone. It's not the same each time for the same person with the same emotion. Just have an open curiosity to what is going on as you rest your mind on the feeling of the emotion without the storyline. Bring that emotion to mind. You can do this with your eyes open or closed. Let go of the storyline and feel the energy in your body. And if you'd like, when you're done with that, let another emotion come to mind. Then let go of the storyline and feel it in your body. When you're done with that, if you'd like, pick a third. Tune into it, let go of the storyline and feel where it is in your body and what happens to it, and just stay with it. We're going to gather all of the emotions, everything we're feeling, into the center of our chest. Actually, forget that. Just gather your whole body. Intensify everything in your body. Intensify all the feelings wherever they are. Every emotion from head to toe, everything intensified. Completely intense. And then open your eyes and let go. Open your awareness in all directions. Let your awareness expand further and further and further, as if it's out beyond the farthest stars. Just rest in a moment of infinite openness. Relax. If you'd like, you can unmute yourself and any comments, questions, anything you'd like to talk about as far as all these practices go. This is a great meditation too, the waiting meditation. When we do the opening practice, the close placement, you may have noticed that when you stopped working on the in-breath and the out-breath, that sensation of filling and emptying, something relaxed, and your breath may have gotten much shallower. When we go to the open awareness, it's somewhat easier because we don't have that tight focus for thoughts to capture us. And if we use the thoughts as the object of our meditation, it takes a different perspective on them. Sometimes it's called reverse meditation. When we're so occupied with thoughts, we say, okay, I'll just sit and watch the thoughts. Very often, oh, where are they? Or they don't have as much hook in us at that point. Mike, did you have something you'd like to share?
Well, I was having a hard time conjuring an emotion that I could really work with. I just felt so emptied out from the first part of the meditation that I couldn't conjure anything negative, that's for sure.
Have you listened to the news lately?
No. No.
If you had, then sadness would not be hard to conjure up.
Right. What I have done lately, and on the advice of everyone who knows me, including my doctors,
Not listening to
is
the
I've taken a break from events. Just taking a little break from
that goes. Just think about the people in your lives and the interactions you have with them. And if they're loving, that's love. If they're caring, if something tickles you, you're tickled. You know, that's an emotion. We have colors that go with them, right? Tickled pink, right? Seeing red when we're furious, getting the cold shoulder. There's a temperature that goes with it, you know. So there are all sorts of descriptors that go with the emotions, and so you can just and it's a perfectly valid practice to just sit and wait. And that's actually a good way to do it, to sit and wait for something to appear in your mind or a feeling. And you can always say frustration, that I can't conjure up an emotion. Oh, there's frustration. What does the frustration that I don't feel like I can do this? That's all you have to say. I don't feel like I can do this. This is frustrating. That's an emotion. And I want you to work with subtle ones. It's a little much sometimes to bring on a full-blown, rouse a rage in you. And then you feel like then you're out of control and you leave your meditation and go shout at someone. So we want to manage this by tuning into the subtle qualities of them. And you can feel, I was tuning into sadness, and it was, well, why do we call it heartbreak? Because it was in my chest and it was painful. So that's why we call it heartbreak, because like our heart is breaking in half, which is painful. When I was tuning into a little bit of anger, it was in my deep belly. Caring was kind of the back of my heart, behind the heartbreak. So you can look, and one of the things that I'd like to hear if you had any experience of when you stay with it without the storyline, it tends to soften and spread. Sometimes, mine did. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say on that. What did you experience with those emotions? Anybody? That's a line from a movie. Hope?
Well, Doc, what I noticed, and I got a little bit of frustration and things, and I could really feel it. I got to a specific point on my back, in between the upper part of my shoulders, that I could just really feel those muscles around my spine. And to your point, when I really focused my attention there without judging it, it dissipated.
Yeah, it's interesting how it just softens and merges. I tried one, which was an interesting one. In the Buddhist tradition, ignorance is considered an emotion. So I worked with what if I feel confused? And where is that? You know, that was kind of like, it was like my head got numb. It was a confusion brought a numbness on. And I realized that it was connected a little bit. And what more it morphed into is, well, what about fear? And there was, and the feeling that went with fear was paralysis.
Mm.
And then without dropping any storyline, what does paralysis feel like in your body? How long does it last? And it's interesting because it has been some scientific research on how long the effect of when we have a strong emotion, juices get pumped in. I felt a flash of adrenaline, and it feels like a lightning bolt going diagonally through my whole body. The reverberation, there's an echo to that, and it stays with us for 60 to 90 seconds. But after 90 seconds, the research has shown that unless you rekindle it with the thought patterns, it dissipates and fades. So when people stay angry, it's because before that 90-second fade, and probably before 5 seconds of fading, another thought that justifies that anger, and another reason to be angry, and another reason to be angry, and another reason to be angry. And it can go till you're pretty much exhausted.
Is that where the phrase "let it go"?
There's let it go is on so many levels and so many different things. As far as emotions and working with it, what we were letting go was the storyline, but not letting go of the emotion, but letting it process itself out. And I believe that what happens when we do let it process itself out, our body gets wiser. It informs and recalibrates our being to be able to relate with it better. It's kind of like, oh, okay, so we went through that. Good. But when we're just caught up in this maelstrom of the thought that supports the emotion, that makes us have more thoughts that support more emotion, we're just like a dog chasing its tail, going around in circles. And in fact, that's the definition of the world, the world experienced as confusion in the Buddhist tradition. It's a Sanskrit word called samsara, which means an endless cycle of pain and suffering that we cause, that's unnecessarily being, it's like a wheel going around that you keep helping it spin. You keep giving it another shove, and it just keeps spinning. But if we stop shoving, we don't have to destroy the wheel, we just have to stop shoving it and let it come to rest itself. And we can do that moment by moment with these emotions. Manjit.
Good afternoon.
If it's afternoon where you
are. Well, it's good evening. It's good evening in the UK. It's about 5 o'clock in the evening. So just thank you. I've read both your books, and I keep on reading them on and off as I need to read some of them. I think sort of.
Oh, which books?
I've read Zen Golf, Zen Putting, I've read your diet book. I've read all of them. I'm sorry to say, I'm sorry. I've read them all. I've got sort of, some of them out of print, so I've got the older copies, oddly enough.
Now, hang on one second. What about this one?
Walk in the wood. No, I haven't had that. No.
There
Okay.
you go. There's your next reading.
That's my next reading. A walk in the wood. Okay.
I wrote it
I
with
shall.
my sister, and the Disney company invited us to use Winnie the Pooh and Friends to teach
Right.
mindfulness of nature.
Okay. I shall.
Does a
go
bear
on
live in the woods? Yeah.
No. I shall do that on Amazon, maybe my next purchase coming up. The question I was going to ask you was, I struggle to localize an emotion other than anxiety, and that's in the chest, that feels just across, just below in the chest. The rest of the emotion, they're difficult to localize. Is it just me or is it somebody else too?
It varies for different people, and it varies for different emotions. Some may be easier to feel where they're impacting you than others. The key is to let it come to you rather than try and go and find it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of do your body scan like we did at the beginning and just say, okay, frustration. Okay. Up here, ooh, got a little in my jaw right then. Yeah, a little in the chest, and you just go that way.
Mm-hmm.
And see, like I said, like it's your emotion. It'll be your emotional MRI. Now it goes, just go through and say, anything here? How about there? When I was thinking of fear, my legs got numb. Isn't that interesting? So you may discover some interesting things. How about anybody else? Please chime in.
May I make another comment? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Manjeet, please continue.
You've lost me. I'll come back. My thought's gone. Come on, carry on.
I guess what I was going to say is like lesson or concept I'm starting to get is the body really has its own intelligence. And sometimes we think our mind is so much more intelligent than our body. And it's what I'm coming to be aware of is it's not. My body sometimes is a lot more bright than my mind and can take care of things much more efficiently.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was actually a practice developed by a psychologist. I think his name was Eugene Gendlin. And that was, it's called focusing. And he does exactly what you were talking about. Oh, and it says, he not only goes into, where it is, but then asks that part of the body, what do you got for me? What are you trying to tell me? And so that is an interesting way of connecting to the wisdom of the body. So I thought, I'm trying to get to do the chat here, to put it in the chat box. See how we can do that. Okay, here we go. I'm pretty sure this is it. Can somebody look this up? I think that's how you spell. Oops. So, if you're interested in pursuing that, it's an interesting practice.
I finally remembered what I was going to say.
Oh yes, Manjeet.
One was I totally agree with Hope in the sense that sometimes the body is aware of more things before your brain tells you something going on. So there is a time lapse and the body tells you, if only you listen to it, but if you don't, you just, yes, then that's quite true. The second thing was about posture.
Yes.
In terms of meditation and posture. How relevant is posture? Sometimes, you're obviously sitting in bed and you just feel that you're in the right frame of mind to do a body scan or meditate even for 10-15 minutes.
Sure, there's no problem with that. When you get into the deeper into the meditation, and it is there are different kinds of meditations in the tradition I was brought up in, the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. There are different kinds of meditation in this particular tradition. The two main things are tranquility and insight. And so that what you're talking about is kind of that tranquility meditation. But there is a notion, and then the insight is really direct awareness of the deeper nature of all of our experiences of the phenomenal world, of internal and external experiences. Now, there's another aspect which is very body oriented, and that is the winds and the channels and how they move through the body. And this goes back to the ancient Indian yoga traditions as well, that there are bandhas or locks or places of intersection in the body where the energy can get stuck. So when you get into some of these deeper meditations, it's actually said that taking the proper posture and your meditation is half accomplished already. So that's something that you can look into. But it's so that we, from our point of view, it's just, if you're sitting like this, you're going to get drowsy and your breath is kind of blocked. And if you're sitting like this and your chin's up in the air, it tends to get you spaced out. So that straight line from the back of your head down to your tailbone, if you make the back of your head extend gently upward, your chin comes in naturally, and then there's a straight flow and the breath moves very much more easily. And then there are certain ways, as I talked about, holding your shoulders back and chest open and your hands in a particular way, so that the energy in your body flows evenly and doesn't get clogged. And what's said was, wherever it gets clogged, it generates a whole lot of discursive thinking, a whole lot of circular and confused and haphazard thinking. So this actually makes the thoughts less haphazard. It doesn't mean your thoughts stop, but it's less contradictory. Doug, thank you for your research. Pretty cool. So I'm going to leave this up. And so if people want a copy from the chat box, you can see what Doug has posted there. Very impressive. Good research. I like this. See what comes along when you ask, how is my life going?
It's all in front of us.
Looking at some of the things in the chat. Doug, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's all in front of us.
Yeah, there you go. Good, thank you. So to close, what we always like to do, it's good to do these practices for ourselves, but it's even more powerful if we have the intention that we're doing it for ourselves in order to benefit others, that it's not just for ourselves. And so by dedicating that benefit, it becomes that much more powerful. So when I'll say the gong, and we'll just relax for a moment. I'm going to mute everyone. And then you can repeat after me. May the practice I have just done be of benefit to others as well as myself. And if you're feeling particularly generous or want to cultivate that generosity, you can say, may the practice I have just done be of even more benefit to others than to myself. So thank you. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.